Hello and welcome to Fate Hollow Ataraxia by Type Moon. It's the sequel to Fate Stay Night, or playthrough I did earlier. And yeah, I call it a sequel. I mean, it is a sequel, but also, like, from what I've heard, like, it's technically takes place after all the timelines in Fate Stay Night, but also none of them at the same time. Because not time travel, but like timelines, I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird sequel. Like, so, I mean, we'll see how it all fits together. But also, like, I believe most of the story is also slice of life, you know? Like, slice of life, lighthearted scenes. So if you thought Fate Stay Night was slow, this is probably even slower, you know? There is some plot, I think, but it'll take a long time to get there, probably. That's what I've heard. That's a general idea. It's like I'm mostly blind. Like, I don't know much about, you know, this visual novel. I never went through it or anything, so I don't know a lot. But I think that's the general idea of what Hollow Ataraxia is. And before I start, I also wanted to give credits to the English patch, like the unofficial English patch. Let me see if I do it correctly. Oop. Okay. So it's just a little page with a voice patch. So these guys, where is it? These guys, Jack Leafinate 101, Quibi, and Hinte from the Beast's Lair. They ported the Vita version into the PC, which allows basically voices, but also a whole host of like Vita features, you know. And also, I guess I want to mention the original English patch made by Dozen Agent and also other people. It says right here the official page credits are on TL Wiki. I tried clicking on this link, it doesn't go anywhere because the tlwiki.org page is like down, or in fact the entire server is down, like forever, I think, which I've just learned like literally today. But through the power of the Wayback Machine, you can see here. Actually, let me check my OBS capturing. Okay, my OBS. It was just double checking my OBS was capturing the page. But yeah, through the power of the Wayback Machine, go back to the archive page here, and here are the credits for the people who did the initial unofficial translation for the English patch. Amazing. Ramafan, again, Doesn't Age It, Mewarm 990, and Dreamer, and Quibi, and all these other people. And it's kind of hard to see probably because it's kind of squished on my capture, but hopefully you can see it right here. Okay. I just want to do a quick mention because they are the true Segi no Mikata for translating the game in the first place, right? Because otherwise we wouldn't be able to play it. So there you go. Yeah, let's just dive right in. Enough rambling. Let's go. I played like 5 minutes, you know, just to check if it could like be captured and everything. And again, it's mostly lighthearted, but the beginning is kind of weird. I don't know, it's kind of ominous and mysterious. Well, let's see then. He said he was afraid of the night. There's a big moon. And here's a building. City of Shinto, Kuru Kizaka District, Block 4. 7 apartments, 11th floor, room 2. That's where he lived. His name was, well, let's just call him Mr. A. Mr. A was a student, and having just turned 20, had moved in at the beginning of spring. This was the first time he ever moved, the first time he ever lived by himself, and the first time he was in an unfamiliar neighborhood. While Mr. A, an introvert by nature, still felt lost, he was adjusting to life in Fuyuki gradually. Yeah, introverts stick together. Mr. A was comfortable being alone in the first place and never seemed to care about having few friends or living among strangers. Rather, he preferred things that way. Mr. A, who would shut himself in his room, apparently liked not having his new life disturbed by anyone, be it friends or family. Mr. A was satisfied with his life, except for two things. The long, long hallway leading to the entrance and the hopeless thoughtlessness of the family that moved in next door 1 month prior. Were they like blasting music or something? I don't know. What was unsettling him began since he moved into the apartment in spring. What his parents had set up for him was an X amount of yen monthly in a 4-bedroom apartment. Okay. The size was nothing to complain about. While Mr. A loved being alone, he had an inclination towards luxury and didn't favor living plainly. When it came to the dwelling, the bigger the better. To someone like him, who hated the outside world, this place was a fortress. It had to be large and solid. It couldn't be easy to reach, you couldn't relax if it wasn't impenetrable. That's right. It wasn't that Mr. A liked being alone, it was the issues of others being near. He was unconsciously afraid of someone other than himself intruding into his space. There was another reason why Mr. A chose Semina Apartments. It was the distance from the living room to the door. The long hallway was the first and last obstacle to pass through in order to enter or leave the apartment. The 4-meter-long hallway stretched into a straight line from the living room to the door. There were neither storage rooms nor a bathroom along the way. It was an unusual hallway for an apartment to have, but it seems Mr. A took a liking to it for its length. It took up the ideal amount of space and was an ideal entranceway. The far-off separation from the entrance was not so much a medium between inside and outside, it was more of an ambiguous boundary. It was unnatural. One could say that the hallway itself was the real entrance. However, once he began living there, something about the hallway started to worry him. Such a splendid length, what could possibly worry him about it? After being puzzled for several months, he finally figured it out. It was simple. The long hallway had no lights. It looked like a structural flaw had left no space to install any lights. The hallways of the other apartments had them, but only room 2 of floor 11 were they forgotten. How stupid. Not the worker that forgot to install the lights, but himself who had noticed only out now after living there for several months. Come to think of it, he had already made a wrong turn the moment he had failed to realize what was amiss. Fall came and new tenants moved in next door. They were the kind of happy family you could find anywhere. A young married couple and a 3-year-old daughter. The only contact he had with them was limited to a simple greeting when they were moving in. All Mr. A knew about them was their surname, XX, and a daughter's name, *#. Okay. They're just not gonna tell us, I guess. It's inconsequential. Semina Apartments is an L-shaped building with only 2 apartments on each floor. At the center is the entrance into the building, and each apartment occupies the entire horizontal or vertical part of the L. At the entrance, there's a door leading to the elevator and the emergency stairway. Sometimes Mr. A would meet the XX couple at the entranceway, but on rare occasions he saw, the daughter alone by herself. Okay, Oni-chan, the first voice actor dialogue. A 3-year-old girl. Whenever they met, she would say that. The elevator buttons were slightly above her height. It was not too high for her to reach, but for some reason, she never raised her hands above her shoulders. While he thought it was strange that the 3-year-old girl would go up by herself, he did what the girl asked, and he would see her not just on the 11th floor, but also the entrance on the 1st floor. He would find the girl crouching in front of the elevator as he was coming home or leaving. She would raise her head and say, looking up at him, "Won't you push the button?" After having that exchange over and over again, Mr. A learned the girl's name. He did not remember it, however, perhaps because Mr. A had no interest in other people. Instead, he called her Little Red Riding Hood, because she always wore a red hood. I'll say it again, Mr. A was an introverted young man. As long as his lifestyle wasn't threatened, he didn't care about the outside world. I can relate to Mr. A little bit. Be it, for example, an argument heard from the other side of the wall, the sound of a little girl crying once every other day, a woman's screams that can only be described as shrieking, the girl not being able to raise her arm over her shoulders due to a neglected bone fracture, or her wearing a red hood to hide the bruises on her face because her father told her to. Well, the stuff that only concerns other people. Wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. The ruckus of the neighboring room was only about a meter away from the door, but who could blame him? It was, after all, a long hallway. The source of the screaming was several meters away, and he had inevitably had to ignore it while watching TV. But on that night it was especially loud. A blood-curdling scream, then siren-like crying, then the sound of a door being opened violently, reverberating in the entranceway, then the sound of something banging on Mr. A's door. That night had been aggravating to Mr. A, who'd been quietly enjoying a late-night broadcast at 2 a.m. I gotta watch my animes. He was about to get up and ask them to behave like reasonable human beings. And so get up he did, but soon sat back down. It'll probably end soon anyway. Their affairs were none of Mr. A's business. Butting in at this point would get him overly involved, so he avoided thinking about it. Whatever it is, it's their own responsibility. People ought to handle their own problems by themselves, and so Mr. A took the remote and raised the volume by 5 bars. By the end of the night, as he was turning off the TV and falling asleep, the usual nighttime silence had finally returned because they all died. Something, I don't know. The next day, Mr. A learned there had been a family suicide next door. I was right, I was just guessing. I didn't see this part, actually. I remember I played like 5 minutes of this game already. I kind of already stopped before this part already. But yeah, I guess they killed themselves. Amazing. Or well, not amazing, but it was the first time he had ever been questioned by the police. The night before, after having an argument, Mrs. XX murdered Mr. XX with a blade after slashing her daughter. After slashing her only daughter, she took her own life. Amazing. Again, it's not amazing, but I always say amazing. I don't know. That's kind of like a... I don't know what the word is. I was gonna say quip. That's not right. No, that's not the right word. It's like a thing I say. I say amazing all the time, even though sometimes it's not that amazing. When asked about it, I slept like a log and didn't hear anything, was Mr. A's answer. The officer thanked Mr. A for his cooperation and was about to leave. As he was walking away, Mr. A asked just one question. Oh, she's dead. Lowering his eyebrows, the officer replied. Well, we know one thing. Mr. A is no Segi no Mikata. You know, if Mr. A was Shirou, you know, Shirou would definitely stop that from happening. But not Mr. A. Except, the young officer muttered uncomfortably. What happened was simple. After being stabbed by her mother, the Little Red Riding Hood seems to have managed to escape into the entranceway. At that point, however, the trail stops. The bloodstains stop in front of the elevator. Just out of nowhere, it's become a mystery game, and also again, it's a fake game, right? Somehow it just turns into like a weird murder mystery for some reason, I guess. But I guess she couldn't have pressed the button because she always asks, I guess, Oni-chan, Mr. A, to always press the button for her because she can't raise her arms, right? So she couldn't go to the elevator. Mr. A couldn't bring himself to say that either button was far out of the girl's reach. Yeah. The officer left and Mr. A remained standing in the doorway, deep in thought. 2 o'clock at night, he pictured the little girl escape from her crazed mother, but unable to leave the entranceway, desperately banging on Mr. A's door on the verge of collapse, with tear-stained face. Oh yeah. Instead, we turn up the volume. Well, nice going, Mr. A. In the end, the girl's body was never found. Several days passed. Late at night, always at the same time, Mr. A started noticing a strange noise. It's the ghost! Oh no! The horror game now. The noise itself wasn't loud. If he didn't pay attention to it, it was almost inaudible. At first, Mr. A didn't think about what it could be. He told himself it was just wind shaking the window. But the noise came back every night. Bang, bang. It was a noise that was faint enough to be non-existent, yet it was getting on his nerves. When he realized that the noise wasn't from the window, but rather echoing in the hallway... Wait, what was that? It was really small, I couldn't see it. Something about frightening? Mr. A walked down the long hallway and brought himself to the door. Into the hallway with no lights. Oh no, it's the little girl. He wants revenge. He asked who it was through the intercom. No response. The moment Mr. A came out to the door, the nose, which had been soft moments ago... Fishlands reminds me of when Ilya does the whole mind thing on Emiya Shirou. He looked outside through the peephole. Around distorted view, nobody was there, just a clean-looking entranceway. Nothing except red specks on the cream-colored floor that... Oni-chan, you bastard! His eardrums felt like they were gonna burst. There's no one in the entrance, but the noise did not stop. Mr. A tried to look deeper into the peephole. Maybe there was someone there. Maybe he couldn't see at this angle. The noise continued. Wait, there was something under the peephole, just outside of his view. Open it, you asshole. Something red, wearing a hood, was clinging onto the door. Blood! Oh no. He ran back down the hallway. The clock was showing 2 a.m. Those late-night visits became a routine event. The noise continued every night. Mr. A never opened the door. And one night it happened again. It was insignificantly quiet. He could have just brushed it off as being part of his imagination. The evening is frightening, okay? But now it had been an unavoidable angst that had stained his brain, cutting away his nerves like a blade. With each day, Mr. A's mind was being cornered. It was the end of autumn. You could now hear it no matter what time it was. Is this the right game? I thought it was lighthearted, slice of life, returning characters from Fate Stay Night. But no, this is just like a whole ass horror story. Did I get the wrong game? I don't know. That night he came to a decision. He would see for himself what was clinging to the door. He walked down the long hallway. The light from the entranceway leaked in from behind the door, passing through the unlit corridor. Open it! He pushed the door open. And there was nothing. There was nothing there. There was no one there. That painful knocking that had been echoing in his skull was gone as well. Of course, there was nothing. Something that ridiculous couldn't be true. There had never been any noise. There had never been a red hood. Ha 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 ha. Laughter and relief mixed together. His chilled body rapidly regained its warmth. He had just been hearing things. Somehow it seemed that the incident had gotten to him. Without realizing it, he had felt guilty and developed paranoia. But that was all over. It all ended the moment he opened the door. Ew. Wiping sweat off his forehead, he closed the door. Once he had locked the door, he raised his head. Before his very eyes, down the long, dark hallway they'd been so fond of. His eyes widened. In the middle of the corridor, there was something, wearing a red hood. A familiar dead body. He seemed to be pleading at him. Somehow Mr. A knew that it would be the last thing he would hear before his death. From within the darkness, its lips moved, like a watermelon that had been bored into with a knife. With a blood-stained voice, the Little Red Riding Hood spoke to him.
Oni-chan, button.
Okay, it really was just a ghost story they were telling in the nighttime. Alright, back to the actual characters. Okay. And oh yeah, these girls actually, we kind of met them in the very beginning, near the prologue and everything, but they were kind of like, I don't know, they were kind of like benched, I guess, in the actual plot of Fate Stay Night. But now we're back with them, I guess. October 11th, past midnight, in the guest room at the Ryudo Temple. Makidera Kaide's shrieking voice resounds through the fall sky.
引っ越せってそれができたら苦労しないでしょ。あんただってあんな家出てってやるなんて言ってもう何年よ。人間ね、多少の不安より愛着を取るもんなの。みんながみんな幽霊一匹で住処を移してたら今頃この島はもぬけの殻になってるわ。
眼蓄のある言葉だ。なるほど。我々と階段は切っても切れぬ関係にある。時に牧寺、長廊下のお釈師様は健在か？
いいねっつーの。我が家にそんな偉そうなやつはいないね。あと夜中になったら雨降ってないのに廊下が水に濡れたりもしないね。祖先が瀬戸内で海賊なんてやってもいないね。
How specific?
そっか。マキデラんとこも古い家だったっけ？何？廊下の話は鬼門だった？うるさい。廊下なんて怖くねえ。最新のおしゃれなマンションに引っ越してで、その鬼門ってなんだ？新しいチャクラか？
Yeah, that's why I was wondering. Kimao. I thought that was like a phrase that, that was in Japanese or something, but I don't know what it is.
チャクラを知っていてなぜ鬼門を知らん？
Okay.
鬼門というのは良くない方角。強調を表す言葉だ。細かく言うのなら北東の方角。つまり
Ryudo Issei, our true best friend, the son of Ryudo Temple's head monk and the president of the student council. Issei, who came with us as a supervisor in his official role, briefly glances at me. Hey, who are we, by the way?
おお、さすが寺の息子。ちゃんとしてんじゃん、そういうとこ。
Are we back to being like Shiro or something? I don't know.
けど今はお断り。私が聞きたいのはもっとコスモな話なわけ。幽霊とかそういう話はお門違いだね。ほら、もっとさ、遠坂んちには江戸時代に隕石が落ちてたとか、冬木の地下には大空洞があるとか、そういう現実的な話をしろよな。
Well, I don't know about the meteorite, but a huge cavern? Oh, there's a huge cavern under the Ryudo Temple. We've been there.
いや、今のは十分に現実的な話だったと思うが、先ほどの実話だが、廊下で少女と出会ったということは、真犯人は A 氏で、廊下の壁に死体を隠蔽していたという話だろう？
Really? That's an interesting interpretation. Is that how it was? I don't know. I mean, maybe?
カネちゃん、それも階段とは趣旨が違うと思う。
現実的な話をしろって言われてもね。怪談話を何だと思ってるのよ、牧寺は。ま、とんでも話なら遠坂の管轄だから待ってればいいの聞けるんじゃない？
それはありません。牧寺さん好みのとんでも話は知りませんから。
There you go. Here's Tohsaka. She's back. Tohsaka counters elegantly. That's her usual manners at this sort of gathering.
そりゃ失礼。じゃあマトは？一年の誰かがマト首相はああ見えてすごく怖いとか言ってたけど。
Mato. Oh, okay.
私ですか？
I was thinking of the other Mato.
別に怖い話が好きなんじゃなくて、階段に強いだけなんですけど。
I can only hope that Shinji's dead in this sequel. I just hope he's already dead. Please not him be here.
ところで三つ釣り先輩、そんなこと言ったのは誰でしょうか？
But yeah. Tohsaka Rin in Mato Sakura.
そういうところが怖いんだって気づきなさい、桜。
All the waifus are here. She lets out quietly. No one here knows that Tohsaka Rin and Mato Sakura are sisters yet.
和むのはいいが、まだ始まったばかりだろ。続けるのか続けないのか。俺としてはこれ以上牧寺が騒ぐのなら、会を中止させなくてはならないのだが。
そうよね。眠ってるお坊さんたちにいい迷惑だし、牧寺がもう叫ばないっていうなら続けましょう。 騒いでないじゃん。三つ釣りの話がつまんないからダメ出ししただけじゃんかよ。
問題はそのダメ出しが次にもあるかということでしょうね。牧寺さんに我慢しろというのは呼吸をするなということと同義だから割と絶望的だけど、どう牧寺さん、呼吸止められる？
止められる。私陸上の次に水泳得意だし。
That's not what she meant.
だそうですのでこのまま続けましょう。次は三枝さんかな。けど私階段ってしたことなくて、
Man, look at these, what do you call, muggles? Something like that. You know, the normal people? You know, in Harry Potter, there's like magic people, but there's also just normal human beings. They're called muggles, right? I think so. I'm just thinking like that's the comparison, right? There's like, you know, Tohsaka Rin and Sakura, and probably, I think we're playing a Shirou? I don't know yet. I don't know. We've never been introduced yet. But yeah, just like, you know, the magic people. And look at these normies. Look at these normies. Look at these normies.
大丈夫。無理に怖がらせようと思わなくていいから。
We're just hanging out with the normies.
綾子のは実際あった話を脚色したたちの悪い話でね。牧寺さんが怖がったのはセミナマンションの事件を知っていたからだろうし。そうなんですか？
セミナマンションの一家心中は実際にあった話だ。その1ヶ月後、隣室の青年も行方不明になり、捜索願いが出ているのも事実だぞ。
Yes, based on a true story. And I call them, you know, normies. But you know the silver-haired girl right here, I don't know, she looks ominous? I guess she's normal. She was never really mentioned in Fate Stay Night. I mean, as far as we know, she's not like a mage or anything, but she would be a perfect fit. I mean, look at those empty eyes. Reminds me of a certain priest, actually.
エースの兄ちゃんはなんか理由あって自分探しに旅立ったんだよ。素敵なサムシングなんだよ。いつか一回りでっかくなって帰ってくるんだよ。もうそんなかっこいい兄ちゃんにおかしな失踪理由でっち上げるた。なんて少年の腐った女だ、三つ釣り綾子。
本当にいなくなっちゃったんですか、英士さんって。
ああ、同じマンションの住人が言うのだから間違いない。そうだろう、三つ釣り嬢。
そういう話だからね。とまあ、私ほど脚色せずとも実際にあった噂話だけで十分ってこと。牧寺は怖がりだからね。三枝さんもその線で攻めてみるといいよ。誰かに聞いたお化けの話とかない？
それなら何個かあります。皆さん窓辺の幽霊って知ってますか？2学期から広まりだした噂なんですけど。何それ、私は初耳。お化け羊羹の人影ですよね。弓道部の1年生たちが話してたような。はい、そのお化け羊羹です。何でも冬木のどこかに使われていない洋館があって、夜中に近づくと2階の窓辺からこうじーっと見つめてくる人影があるそうです。
I don't remember where everything is placed. Fuyuki. Is that because the only Western style house we really know is, you know, Rin's like mansion. Is it the same house or?
ああ、人影ってどんな人影よ、ゆきっち。つうかさ、冬木のどこかにある洋館って何？
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to remember because there's like you know, the place that Fate Stay Night takes place is like a city, there's like a residential area, you know, and a school. So, I don't know.
それは私も知らないんだけど、あんまり人が寄りつかないお屋敷じゃないかな。
But yeah, because I'm thinking like, yeah, that's Rin's mansion. It's Rin.
実際見た人がいるらしいんだけど、たまたま道に迷った時に洋館を見つけたんだって。なんでも周りは木ばっかりで人気がなくて、洋館の2階にいたお化けは 女の人だったとか。
何それ、人気のない洋館で女が一人？そんなのトサカんちじゃん。トサカ、あんたんちお化け屋敷にされてるぞ。
そうなのかな。ごめんなさいトサカさん、この話ってトサカさんちのことだったの？
謝らないで三枝さん。うちがご近所からそういった扱いを受けているのは今に始まったことじゃないし、牧寺さんのような言われなき中傷にも慣れていますから。
Yeah, and it's also like literal magic. By the way, there's like a boundary field around, you know, her mansion that literally does make people like be scared of it. So baseless slander wouldn't be entirely accurate. The Tohsaka residence is actually a type of haunted house.
じゃあこの話はやめて信徒の話にします。最近夜になると信徒の空に何か大きな糸みたいのが見えるって話なんですけど。
Unsure of herself, Saigusa Yukika looks at the crowd. I'd say that she's looking for witnesses.
その糸みたいなのが何なのか見たことある人います？
You know, she reminds this girl talking right now. She reminds you like Sakura. She's like Sakura version 2. I don't know.
話だけは聞いてるが、あいにくとまだ怪異には出会っていない。
空って夜空？そのセンタービルの屋上に人影が立っていたなんて話じゃないわよね。
具体的な例えだね。そりゃセンタービルの屋上に赤い人影を見たって話はよく聞くけど、三枝さんの話は別物じゃなくて？
Red figure on top of some... That's just Ren again. There's something mysterious about the way Mizuzuri Ayako looks at Tohsaka. As if she knows the truth behind that, Tohsaka, who prefers wearing red, makes a sour face. It's been half a year since the 5th Holy Grail War ended. Reference to the plot from the last game? That means she's probably still patrolling the area at night.
牧寺先輩は見たことありますか？
ない。だがおそらくは UFO。
私は読めたよ。牧寺、あんたは階段を勘違いしてる。
そうだな。我々がしているのはオカルティックな話であってコズミックな話ではない。牧野氏、気の毒だがいくら待っても君好みなムームー話に出番はないぞ。
Moo Moo. What is Moo Moo?
読んでない。あんな面白おかしい電波本なんて購読してないよ私。だってあれすっげーつまんねえじゃん。
まあそのつまらないところがある意味たまらないのではあるが、ところで神と上空の蜃気楼の件だが。
Everyone shakes their hands. Unfortunately, there are no witnesses. However, I've been getting this feeling from a little bit ago. How should I put it?
そういう噂話なら俺からも一つ。昔から郊外の森には城が建っているという話があるだろう。それに新説が加わったそうだ。
Ilya? Is that Ilya's castle?
何度も城を目指して森に入ると旧帝国軍の亡霊が現れて入ってきたものを戦場に送り出すらしい。で、いくつかの関門を乗り越えた勇者だけが幻の城で一泊できてメイド姉妹に解放されるとかなんとか。
あれ？
竜道くん、何？念願の相部屋で脳みそとろけちゃった？
俺とておかしな話だと思っておるわ。だが実際に見た者がいるのだから仕方なかろう。嘘だと思うのなら一人で郊外に特攻するがいい。
I don't know anything about the Imperial Army, but there are 2 maids living with Ilya, assuming she's still there, I guess. Crap. This is funny.
エミヤは今の竜道のヨタ話どう思う？
Okay, so we are just Shiro again. Mitsuzuri shifts the conversation to me. Up until now, I've just been an observer. Oh well, I have been keeping my mouth shut because I don't know how to comment on this, but...
どうも何も一星が作り話なんてするわけないだろ。竜道寺は森に近いし、案外本当にあるかもな。
It's not that I have no idea what it might be. Putting that aside for the moment, I feel bad about breaking the conversation, but I've got to go to the bathroom.
あれ、ちょっと
Tea break.
誰にも気づかれないようにスルッと戻ってくるんで、俺に構わず続けててくれ。いいところで牧寺を脅かすから。
いいじゃん、やれるもんならやってみな。私も女だ。エミヤにゃ負けられないね。
There goes Makidara, as usual reacting in a weird way. Ever since I started having lunch with Tohsaka, Makidara has been acting like this all the time. Wait, actually, I don't get it. She won't lose as a woman. I don't know. Because I'm thinking, is it Yuri? Because I'm thinking, is there like a love triangle now with Tohsaka and Makidara? I don't know. Anyway, it's chilly outside. The night air in the mountains is cold and crisp, unlike in the city. Exposed to the cool air, my unclear head and ambiguous thoughts become more defined, waking me up. Looking up at the night sky, I let out a heavy sigh. I've already walked some 20 meters away from the room, huh? It's not every day I find myself trying to think about something for no reason in a temple's passage.
さて。
Or should I try to contemplating first? Maybe I should try organizing my thoughts on how things ended up being like this. Speaking of things happening to me recently, there's the story of today's training camp. It involves the upcoming cultural festival, Sakura, who is working hard as the captain of the archery club, Mitsuzuri, who is looking out for her, and the strange relationship with the track and field club. At the end of a complicated argument, little by little, a training camp was being set up for the cultural festival. Issei offered the location, and I was invited as hard labor. Basically, I'm in charge of the food. Of course, Shiro is the ultimate cook. Life's as hectic as ever, but at least things are peaceful. 6 months ago, there was a battle for the Holy Grail, with all the consequences. In that battle, something was lost and something was gained. It's been enough time to look back and reflect on those events. I've settled down, but I'll never talk about it directly. The Holy Grail War is a thing of the past. There's no reason for another conflict to spark in Fuyuki. The Holy Grail is gone, the servants have vanished, the dead won't return, and life continues without problems, okay? Oh, what was that? There's no need for these days to change. The factors linking them together are almost all there. Linking a similar tomorrow with yesterday, and enjoying the slight changes is the proper way of life for a person. It's like a vague idea of like the Holy Grail War, but again, as far as I know, it's all the timelines are interlinked, sort of, but also none of them are like a thing. I don't know, it's weird. My thoughts stop. What was that? I'm certain there was another reason for the training camp. White-haired waifu out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure there was something standing towards the corner of my vision just now. In the direction of the temple grounds. It's too far off to get a good look, but there's a human figure running towards the back hill. It's probably a monk or somebody from the temple. Okay, that was weird. It was like I was about to make a decision, but I guess not. I don't know. I actually don't know how it works, because I know about Fate Stay Night, the visual novel, had like bad ends, and Tiger Dojo. I know very little of this one, so I don't know how the system works. We aren't the only ones in Ryodo Temple. And speaking of which, I guess I didn't mention it, but when I open the game, there is like a choice where you can like choose a ticket, I guess. I guess I'll show it at a later date, but it's kind of like I wonder how that affects the game as well, because there is like a pseudo like save slot, I guess, that you choose before you even start the game. I don't know, it's weird. Yeah, anyway, we are the only ones in Ryodo Temple. I really shouldn't be worried by random people. Increasing my pace, I jog down the hallway. Whoops. I've just bumped into someone coming from around the corner.
すみま。
こちらこそごめんなさい。少しぼーっとしていたから。
Caster! Wait a minute, aren't all the servants gone? And yet you're here? Are you not a servant? I don't know. My mind freezes. Rule, and then she takes out the deck. Rule Breaker! And then she kills everyone. Oh no. I'm too surprised to even know what I'm surprised about.
けど、あなたも気をつけなさい。
Also, she has no, she doesn't have the hat and everything. She doesn't block her face, so.
廊下を走るのは感心しなくてよ、坊や。
Boya. Caster walks past me. Okay, so we do know who she is. As Shirou, so I don't know, why is she here? She's as refined and sarcastic as always, but seeing her face unhooded is quite rare. However, what was I so surprised about? I don't know.
そうだ。キャスターってとんでもなく美人だったんだな。
She's quite beautiful. Okay, I guess Shirou's not going to mention why there's servants still running about. Or at least Caster. I don't know about the other servants. This monologue restarts my frozen mind. I keep on going. But I'm thinking, if she's here, then even though the Holy Grail War is over, the other servants are still around, maybe. Because I'm thinking, like, where's Saber? You know? Where is she? She has to be here, right? She's the main waifu, basically. At least she's like the poster child of the Fate series. She's gotta be here somewhere. I clear my head, even though it doesn't make sense, because I thought in the Fifth Holy Grail War, like any kind of Holy Grail War, you charge up the Holy Grail by killing all the other servants, right? But I don't know. We'll see. Having finished my business, I'm back in the guest room.
そうして八八はよみがえった。村人たちにいびり殺された息子。可愛い我が子にもう一度会いたいという母親の狂気が死者をよみがえらせたのじゃ。じゃがよみがえった八八には至るところが欠けておった。手も足も臓物も脳みそもなかった。
Yes, the classic necromancer, creates the zombie apocalypse story.
母親は足りない箇所を補うため、毎晩捕まえて閉じ込めた村人たちから。
Issei's eyes are gleaming. I expected no less of the son of a monk. When it comes to graveyards, corpses, and karma, he has no rival. It goes without saying how Makidera would react, but the ghost story expert, Himuro, Michizuri, and even Tohsaka are silently getting ready for the conclusion. Oh, hey, there's a teacher, by the way. It's the same with everyone. Hold on. There's something weird just now. Sensei. Kuzuki-sensei is also quietly listening to Issei's story. I mean, this is his place, right, technically? I think, well, as far as I know, he lives here, but he's not like a monk himself. He's just a guy that came by and is like, hey, can I live here? And the monks were like, sure. So he lives there. Our brave leader, Fujine. Oh? Hey. Jabbing animation. I don't know, she just likes to punch.
生まれつき怖い話なんて怖くないからだ。シロウたちは生まれつき怖い話に弱いからそんな特訓をしなければならないのだ。
She had said so on the verge of tears. Now she's already asleep. Okay. I think this is what they call abdication of leadership. But since she couldn't let a meeting of a crowd of young people in the dark go unmonitored, she asked Kuzuki-sensei to take the reins of authority.
そうして八八は考える死人になった。だが悲しいかな。ようやく八八が母親の名前を呼べるようになった頃、母親はとうにこと切れておったのじゃ。
That's kind of sad, actually.
邪法は母親の体を蝕んでおったのよ。
How tragic.
八八は悲しんだ。蘇ったことはさほど嬉しくはない。ただ苦痛に耐えて自分を蘇らせた母親が不憫でならなかった。そうして八八は自らと同じよう 母をよみがえらせようとしたのじゃが、それだけはどうしてもできなかったのじゃ。母が自分に施した作動を丁寧に繰り返しても、村人たちの肉を二山三山、血を二川三川使おうとも、母は決してよみがえらなかったのじゃ。
なんでだよ。ゾンビは勝手に増えるじゃんよ。かわいそうだから増やしてやれよ。今時母ちゃんが2人になろうが10人になろうが珍しくないよ。
10 moms?
あと、なんで口調変わってんだよ、生徒会長。
いいところで水を差すな、負けだろ。この語りは竜道家の決まりなのだ。さもありなん。母親と八八では立ち位置が違ったのじゃ。教会の問題でな、いかな邪法秘法を用いようと叶わぬことが一つだけある。それは聖者のみが死者をよみがえらせられるということよ。死者が死者を食ろうて仲間にしたところで生き返らしたことにならぬ。それはすでに人ではなく死体を食うだけの結晶を生み出したに過ぎぬのだ。
That's a good lesson. It is true that the wishes of the dead cannot be granted. It is always the breath of life that causes things to happen. Even if the deceased were to be granted life once again, without a doubt the dead cannot ever bring back the dead. Okay? The dead cannot... Reminds me of people die when they are killed. The dead cannot ever bring back the dead. It's always been like that. Only the living can bring back the dead. I mean, I don't know if that's... I mean, maybe it's true, like, in the magic world. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
永遠に血肉を集め続ける。よみがえらぬ母親のために、今でも竜道で人の手足を集め続けているという話じゃ。これが冬木に伝わるムクロ塚の八八郎、影山の臓物墓場の言われである。
Issei ends his tale. The candle is blown out. His turn is over.
今のはそれなりに聞いたわね。寺の息子が寺に泊まっている時に墓場の話をするとは思いませんでした。その大人げなさに脱帽です。
今日はこちらの陣地だからな。仏敵を打ちのめすためなら使えるものは何でも使う。
Who's next? The staple of camping trips, ghost stories, will go around in a circle.
ほら、次はエミヤの番。生徒会長の後で大変だろうけど、一つ気合の入ったのを頼むわ。
心配には及びません、三辻先輩。先輩、階段には強いですよ。夏場に藤村先生を脅かすのに効果的ですから。
Well, Sakura, I know this one story about worms. Anyway, everyone's eyes focus on me. I've got a couple of ghost stories on me, but this is the first time I've ever told one to this many people. In fact, I don't really like telling stories in the first place. I can't do the weird dramatization, and I can't really tell if they're good or not.
落ち着いてでいいわよ、エミヤくん。いつも通りで、ここが土蔵だと思ってればいいんだから。
Well, now I feel awkward. Oh well. It's really not like me, but this is part of the festival. To wrap up this great trip.
それじゃあ、長い話を一つ。
Is it as long as the entirety of Fate's Day Night? That would be pretty long. Doing something I usually wouldn't, I start telling my story for the first time. And he literally just tells the story of Fate's Day Night. Oh, and that's transmitted from the beginning, middle of the tale from this from there. Oh. Heaven's Feel back night. What? Okay, Heaven's Feel back with Heaven's Feel.